All right. Let's get another round of applause to Stephen Patalo, who put that video montage together. That was awesome. So, how's everybody doing, all right? This is so awesome. This is so awesome. This room is like twice as packed as it was last year. It just shows that this just keeps on going and getting bigger and bigger. So, thank you everybody once again. Let's hear it for Yauch one more time. So, you're welcome. So, our next speaker that we have was a very good friend of Yauch's, and he basically wrote me an email when the MCA Day page had about 100 likes, and the basis of the email was, who the F are you, and what the heck are you trying to do right now? So, our next speaker is a true legend, a true artist, a true New Yorker, and a true friend to the MCA Day team. Can everybody please put your hands together for Say Adams?
Wow, this is a pretty big crowd. I just really wanted to come and lend my support and say thank you to everybody for coming out, because, you know, I've been working on this painting that I did for Yauch as a tribute, or just some way that I could say thank you to him for all the stuff that he's done for me over the years. And, you know, when I came up with the idea, I thought, oh, I really need to time this so it's finished by MCA Day. And I reached out to Mike and I said, hey, I'm gonna do this thing. Can you save me a little spot on the wall? And I was kind of apprehensive because I didn't know if I'd be able to get it done. And I've been working on this thing for like the last 7 days. And I finished last night at 3 a.m. And I was just really happy that it came out really beautiful. And I got really great support from my friends at Under Armour, so I really wanted to thank them, because without them I wouldn't have been able to put it together. And other than that, I just want to say thanks to Mike and his whole team at MCA Day for keeping Yauch's memory alive. And it's just so cool that people come from all over the world to be here. And it's in the, you know, true spirit of what the Beastie Boys are about. So, you know, I just want to say thank you for everybody coming out, and everybody's been so kind to me since I've been coming to every MCA Day event. And it's just so cool to see all these like little kids and, you know, parents, and it's just wonderful. So again, I'm gonna get off because obviously I'm starting to lose it up here. Just thank you to everybody, and, you know, thanks for showing gratitude to Adam Yauch and the Beastie Boys.
Let's give another round of applause to Say Adams, please. Thank you so much. Next up, we have McMullen, who's an extremely talented graphic artist. Without him, we would not ever have our Beasties in the sardine can imagery. We did the mix-up album cover, as well as Hello Nasty and Country Mike, as well as other projects. So let's give it up for Bill McMullen.
Thank you so much. That makes it sound so much cooler than how it really was. I wrote this big long thing. I didn't realize it was going to be so casual, so bear with me a bit.
Do it!
Okay. Okay. Honestly, thank you for that great introduction. It saves me having to remind you all of that. But I was asked to speak here, and I didn't want to just make it some big thing where I reiterated some stories, but it's going to be a little like that anyway. I wasn't able to be here last year. I was out of town, and I was just kind of looking at it from afar, watching on the internet and Instagram, and just kind of like, oh man. And it just, I was reminded, like, every time I see these photos, and it's a weird thing when you, I'm sure many people in this room are actually in contact with Adam Yauch at some point, or knew him, friends with him perhaps, or maybe just a fan, somebody like any one of us. And there's a weird mix of emotions when a Beastie Boys song comes on the radio, or you see a photo of him, and you're just like, kind of like, oh, I don't know how it's just amazing what this guy was able to achieve in his time here. And I've discussed it with a few friends of mine, and it's almost, I started out as a huge fan, and so to move to New York and to meet these guys and to get to work with them on projects, it's like a big dream. And I just kind of think sometimes, you know, how this guy was able to do these songs, and, you know, with the band, of course, and work on these videos and projects and causes and organize live events, and it's like, was this guy even real? Was Adam Yauch even real? Well, I mean, of course he was real, right? We all, you know, listened to music, spent a lot of time loving just about everything that they did for decades. And it just seems impossible, almost, that someone could be so cool and just be so active and so part of so many things and just compel so many people to work on projects that he had dreamed up. And it just seems, I mean, again, I'm just kind of speechless. I have to refer to my notes because when I really get into it, it just overwhelms me thinking about it. I think one of the most important and impressive things about Adam and his journey is that with all the success and all these amazing things he was part of, he actually handled it incredibly gracefully and respectfully, you know, which I think we all see people that just kind of just implode when they get the spotlight on them. And I think that, of course, some people might say, well, it ended, you know, like at the end of the License to Ill era, it was like that. But of course, you know, they just carried on and continued and became actually someone that, you know, became a band that we all joined together and reminisce about and think about, and just meant so much to all of us. The day that he passed away, I had a dozen conversations about him. I read hundreds of comments on the internet, and just people that had met Adam Yauch or had seen him at a live show, talked to him after a show, maybe even shared like a hello at the airport, and they were just driven to go online and just share that experience because it meant so much to them. And I just realized how lucky I was to actually get to spend time with that guy as a fan and also as somebody that helped him working on stuff. And it was just awesome. It really was. I'm going to refer to my notes so I get a little back on track here. I mean, we all know this dude was a very special individual. And I really think we were all really lucky to be on this planet at the same time that he was, to just experience that. I mean, respect to these guys, and in particular, since today is MCA Day, to Adam Yauch. And just how there are probably only a handful of people like that on the earth at any given time, at least in the public eye. You know, there's teachers and educators and everyone around us, but in the public eye, to have somebody take that responsibility and really not, you know, I'm sure you all remember. I mean, we can pretend it didn't happen, but I'm sure you all remember there are people that'd be like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about? I just want to party for my fight, you know, whatever, you know, like they don't want to hear about Tibet or something." But Yauch, you know, had enough guidance, enough internal guidance that he would just stay the course and be like, "Listen, this is kind of important to me." And it was just looking at what he was able to do. It just seems. It obviously is very special, but it seems like was he an exception among us? Was he doing something that was exceptional, that was unusual? Was it something that set him apart from the rest of us? I don't like to speculate on what people might say if they're not here. And of course, in this case, Adam is not. So I respectfully propose that I don't think Adam Yauch would want to be thought of as an exception. I'm just going to go into some things that kind of led me to really have even more respect for this guy. Say Adams, of course, I worked for Say for many years, and Say was approached by Beastie Boys to work on the graphics for Hello Nasty. And we were very busy over there at Drawing Board, which was Say's company. And Say knew I was a huge fan. He's like, listen, I'm gonna put you on this. I'm gonna put you on this Hella Nasty project. Don't fuck this up. These guys are friends of mine. Like, yeah, no pressure whatsoever. And it was, I mean, it was great working with Adam on that album. I ended up spending like many afternoons for a few months in Photoshop with Adam Yauch, like right at my shoulder, and just kind of, no. Oh, whoa. Oh, yeah, cool. And after that, I continued to work on many projects with Adam if he needed me. And we became friends. And being friends with Adam Yauch basically meant that you were working with Adam Yauch. You know, which, because, you know, aside from spending time with his family, there was nothing that he wanted to do more than work on his projects. He loved what he did. He loved to do the work that he was able to do. And it was just, it was so much fun to be part of that stuff. It was great. I mean, as a fan, of course. And I'm going kind of long, I'm sorry. Is that all right? We good? We good? All right. I'm gonna start throwing those nice little pins or cards if I get a little long-winded. Yauch would often call me at all hours of the night to kind of hash things out about, like, you know, could we print it this way, or what if we did that, or could we make it out of metal or something? You know, it'd be like some weird. You know, he would kind of be thinking all these things. You know, it was great to work with him on those things, because he would take in everything that was around him, and then he would, you know, kind of add a little bit of his own to it. And like I said, he would call it at all hours. He got to know my schedule, and I'm kind of a night owl. You know, I'd stay up till about maybe 4 or 5, maybe 3 or 4. Get up around 10, 11, 12. And one night, Yauch called me around 1:30 in the morning, and it said on my phone, it said Trail, you know, because that was the phone he had at the time I met him. So I put him in my phone book on my phone, you know, because the few famous people I knew, I would use this like spy club thing. I'd name them like code names in case, I don't know, like TMZ kidnapped me or something. It's stupid. And so I answered the phone. And another thing you should know about Adam Yauch is that Adam Yauch was completely infatuated with Peter Sellers. And in particular, the Peter Sellers character from the movie The Party, with the, you know, the birdie num num thing, you know. And so I say hello, and his voice says, hello. Hello, billions? Billions, McMillions? Billions, McMillions. Wow, man. This guy had just taken my name, Bill McMullen, and made up this awesome nickname, like Billions, McMillions. Why had I never thought of that? I'd never thought of that. I'm like, man. Wow. So we talked a bit, and then I met up with him the next day over at the offices, the oscilloscope offices, and I walked in, I'm like, you know, Adam, that Billions McMillions, I mean, that's an awesome nickname. I'm going to use that nickname. I'm taking that from, that's it. I don't know why I never thought of that. I mean, if I had thought of that like 10 years ago, I'd be rich and famous by now. And Yauch, without even missing a beat, is just like, well, why couldn't you still be? And I was like, I mean, I had been joking when I said that, but I mean, you know, I guess I didn't even realize I was doing it, but I had kind of edited out that as a possibility, even though I was joking, you know. I mean, do you know where I'm going with this? Like, I had kind of subconsciously put myself on this side of the line, you know, and he had kind of just been like, well, if that's really what we want to do, you could. And, you know, the thing with Yauch is that he was very sarcastic, almost always sarcastic, but in a funny, good way. He's a very funny guy to be around. And so, you know, when he's saying that, there was a little sarcasm in his voice. Like, well, you could still do that. I mean, if you really think that's a noble aspiration, you know, to be rich and famous. If that's all you really want to do, you can definitely do that if you want. And that's the way he was. That's what was so great about being around him, is he had this kind of, like, just a perpetual optimism where, you know, basically anything was kind of possible if you thought maybe you could do it. And of course you're thinking, well, yeah, I mean, the guy, he was really into like kind of a do-it-yourself aesthetic, like a DIY mode where, you know, he'd kind of read about something, hear about something, think about something, and want to do it, and he'd kind of learn how to do it or find people around him. And you know, you kind of think to yourself, well, of course, I mean, you're Adam Yauch, you know, you can like set a meeting with the Dalai Lama, or fly over and make a movie, or record a song, or perform in Tokyo. And so, of course, you can do whatever you want, Adam. But it was easy to think that, but truthfully, I think, and I say this respectfully, I think Adam Yauch would want us to remember that the 16-year-old Adam Yauch, the 16-year-old growing up in Brooklyn and listening to Bad Brains records and learning how to play his instruments and getting together with his friends to make a band, that guy couldn't call the Dalai Lama yet. That guy couldn't jump on a plane, play in Tokyo. There were many, many steps that allowed him to do that, but in my time that I know him, I never knew him to think something wasn't possible. And it was an amazingly inspiring thing to be around. He was very comfortable with his success. You know, I mean, sorry, that sounds weird. What I mean is he was a very successful guy, but yet he was very comfortable with it. He was not threatened by other people achieving their own success. That's what I'm trying to say by that. Meaning that he would take the time and say, like, well, I mean, what if you tried this or something, you know? What if you did that? And he'd break it down to some very simple questions, you know? Anything was possible until you were told, no, it wasn't possible. And then at that point, he would work on some contingency, you know? To quote Redhead Kingpin, he'd work on a plan B. He would start to think of another way to do it. And it was really, for me, as a person that always aspires to do creative things. Of course, I've never hit any levels like Yauch, but what I mean is, as somebody that's always faced with like the challenge of like, oh God, I gotta get up and do that thing that's not doing that well. It's not going that well, you know. And I guess the point of this whole thing is that again, and I respectfully say this because I don't like to put words in his mouth, but I really have to say I don't think Adam Yauch, although his achievements were exceptional, I don't think Adam would want to think of he himself as being an exception. I think he would rather be thought of as an example for what's possible in any of us. Thank you. Thank you so much. So let's all just continue to be inspired by this wonderful legacy of this man and what he was able to do. Thank you so much. I'm so glad I made
it this year. All right, one more round of applause for Say Adams and Bill McMullen, please. That was awesome.